Hi, Professor. It's Kai. So I'm going to do my presentation on Islamic soccer. So what sparked my interest with religion and soccer was the scholarly book, How Soccer Explained the World. This literature on the cultural background of the globalized game and my love for soccer made Islam's impact on the sport significant to me. When watching popular games on TV, it was easy to see Christian displays of thanks on the field. And after the World Cup final, the entire Brazilian team knelt in a circle and bowed their Catholic heads in prayer. I'll show an image in my presentation of Diego Maradona's Hand of God, where he controversially struck the ball with his hand to score a goal against England in the 1986 World Cup quarterfinals. This goal was allowed, and the Argentinians' action demonstrates spirituality's and religion's presence in soccer. However, while Muslim countries do not historically have successful teams, I had failed to witness traces of Islamic attitudes to soccer, of Muslim displays of celebration. So, struggling within the globalized ideologies of soccer, Islam splits into literal conservative opponents to soccer and liberal Muslim supporters of the sport. In a slide of the conservative traditionalist attitudes towards soccer, we see that there are three main. I observed that there are three main problems that traditionalists have with soccer, and that was impurity, violation of Sharia law, and the last one was not discordance, but a clashing of culture. So when looking at celebratory prostrations, we see that in the 1994 World Cup, the Saudi Arabian team bowed and prayed on the field after scoring a goal. It was a sign of God's appreciation towards the team. But traditionalists like Dr. Ahmad Abdul Aziz al-Haddad condemned the impurity of the prayer. Since there was no performance of ablutions or washing before the prayer, it was considered invalid and disrespectful, according to the conservatives. This conflict portrays the difficulty between combining ancient practice and modern celebration. The second point of how soccer violates Sharia law. In 2010, the Somalian insurgent group Islam identified the sport as a violation of Sharia law, in that soccer distracts the possible militia recruits from pursuing holy jihad. So soccer acts as a symbol for Western influence to the fundamentalists, and they outlawed all un-Islamic forms of entertainment. In mid-June of 2010, during the viewing of the World Cup, the South African World Cup, Hizbul Islam burst into a Somalian household, killing 2 Muslims, and they later imprisoned 25 other Somalians for watching the game. And then one final problem that conservatives had with soccer was the issue of hijab during women's soccer games. With the purpose of concealment of the body and women's innocence, hijab stresses the Islamic culture's struggle with Western attire. In a study of Australian Muslim women soccer players, the difference in length of veil showed the different levels of literal interpretation of Islam. And although the veils inhibit certain mobility during the game, The hijab highlights the pride of identity in a secular setting. Unfortunately, tensions between players emerged as this Australian team's season progressed between the different levels of literal interpretation, and quarrels erupted on the field. Now, while orthodox parties of Islam discourage soccer and Western presence in Arabia, liberal Muslims support the ideologies behind soccer, teamwork and social progress. Understanding that our world appears more interconnected with each day, Muslims value the coexistence of cultures and friendly competition. During the Islamic Cup semi-final between Iraq and South Korea, a Shiite security guard noted, "You can see how unified we are here in the coffee shop. There are Sunnis, Shiites, Kurds, and Christians all sitting together. Soccer is one of the greatest gifts that the Iraqis have, and the team is a national treasure," end quote. Iraq actually continued to win on penalties, and for a few hours, celebratory dancing and singing filled the streets of Baghdad, and there was some peace. And you found that through the game of soccer, different Islamic cultures and sects that oppose each other were behind one nation. In the 2010 World Cup, Muslims collectively stood behind the only Arab team to qualify, Algeria. An Egyptian technician articulated that we are Arabs and we should support Arab teams. Football or soccer should unite us, not divide us. And so you see more examples of unity, and there's unity and brotherhood, which are considered Islamic by these liberals. In addition to the unification of Muslims through soccer, the sport also promotes the athletic success of Arab countries within the international soccer community. With talented Muslim players like Rebari, Ibrahimovic, Anelka, and Nasri, the image of Islam appears strong, and it fortifies an identity of Islamic muscle. Jeddah City FC, which is a grassroots Saudi soccer club, has sent off actually 2 of their players to the Premier League. And the significance of this progress is that it creates role models that the Muslim youth can watch on TVs, and it creates this pride within Muslims that they have a strong image and people representing them. And then finally, a last example of progress was that in a friendly, Saudi Arabia succeeded over the World Cup finalists Holland in a 1-0 victory. Prince Abdullah bin Faisal bin Turkey thanked Allah and the custodian of 2 holy mosques for the win. And so we see that with that liberal Muslims, they value the sport of soccer because it is universal and because it does not require much equipment, but a lot of teamwork. Also, this was not included in my paper, but I found out that about a week ago,